What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another Madden 17 online game. Today we have the 14th team for this installment of the 32-team preview series for the upcoming NFL season, the Washington Redskins. The Redskins entered last year as the defending winners of the NFC East. It was a little bit of a banged-up conference, but they won it nonetheless. Went into that wild-card game against Green Bay. Ended up being a shootout. They gave a good battle, but ultimately their defense got torched by Aaron Rodgers. They went in the offseason, signed Josh Norman, hoping Norman that could help provide some sort of answers for that secondary, and he did. He helped provide some answers, but Josh Norman can't provide all the answers. He didn't play exactly like he did in Carolina under that team with, the way that Carolina defense is set up. So now he's playing with like Brashad Breeland aside him, and it didn't work out too well. Besides Josh Norman, there wasn't too much to write home about for that Washington secondary, and they basically had the same problem last year. And on top of that, they had one of the worst run defenses last year. So the offense isn't really the problem in Washington. Kirk Cousins, this man keeps betting on himself and saying, hey, I want to get paid the big bucks. Not just the franchise tag big bucks. I'm talking about the big bucks. And he's done it 2 years in a row now where he's like, you know what? Pay me, man. And Washington's really bottling this whole contract negotiation thing to where, Kirk Cousins could potentially have a third really good season for them, and then they're going to lose him and have absolutely no answers at the quarterback position. But that's not to talk about for this thing. Right now, Kirk Cousins is on the Redskins, and Kirk Cousins unfortunately lost his top 2 wide receivers last season in Deshaun Jackson and Pierre Garçon. 2 very good options to have at the wide receiving position. I mean, they're not like top 10 receivers, but as a 1-2 duo, pretty good. Garçon working middle of the field. Deshaun Jackson, just speedster out there. And thankfully for Washington, they have an embarrassment of riches at the wide receiver spot, so they're able to cover that up. They signed Terrell Pryor to a 1-year deal in the offseason. A little bit of an interesting deal. Not sure that's the one I would have made, but, I mean, for a 1-year deal, you can't go wrong with signing Terrell Pryor. Maybe you could say they could have used some help on the defensive side, but they did that a little bit in the draft, which we'll go over in just a second. But they got Pryor. Josh Doctson was their first-round pick last year, and he needs to step up because, you got Pryor, Jamison Crowder, good slot receiver. I like him. He's a speedster. He killed the Giants whenever he played against us. And Josh Doctson needs to be that other guy for that passing offense because otherwise they don't have too much answers. And they used the first-round pick on Josh Doctson, so this guy better be worth something. He was injured, for most of his rookie season. Didn't get too much playing time behind all those good receivers, so he didn't get much of a chance to show what he's got. Also last year, Jordan Reed, battling those concussion problems, got injured, so Jordan Reed definitely needs to stay healthy. They also have Vernon Davis on the team. I think he's returning once again, so that's a very good collection of tight ends. Vernon Davis isn't the Vernon Davis of old, but he's still a serviceable tight end in the league. But like I said, Jordan Reed needs to stay healthy, so that team could really prosper. But even without that, I think this season for the Washington Redskins, last year, Kirk Cousins threw for nearly 5,000 yards, all right? He was pretty good last year. I'm not the biggest Kirk Cousins fan personally, but you can't argue with the stats when it comes to, what Kirk Cousins put up last year, right? You don't throw for nearly 5,000 yards in the NFL and be a bum. But I think they should rely a little bit more on the running game, and we'll see how that works out for them because, they did lose Deshaun Jackson and Pierre Garçon in the offseason. I'm not too sure Pryor and Doctson can fill those shoes. Try to lean on Rob Kelly, see if Chris Thompson's healthy. I don't know what the Matt Jones situation is. He was a random in and out of the rotation guy last year, but they can rely on that running game. They have a pretty good offensive line. They have one of the best tackle combos in Trent Williams and Morgan Moses. Inside Brandon Sheriff, I believe. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but that dude, young guy, their offensive line is young and pretty good. Trent Williams was literally as locked down as it got in pass protection last season, so you hope he repeats that. But, like I said, the offense isn't really a problem. The defense is the problem for the Redskins. So, trying to solve that defensive problem, they went to the draft this year, and they drafted Jonathan Allen with their first-round pick, defensive end, hoping to provide some help, not only with the pass rush, which was pretty good last year anyways, but trying to stop the run. Like I said, that was one of the worst units last year. So, they drafted him. They drafted Ryan Anderson in the second round. Very generic name, but they drafted the linebacker to add to one of the best linebacking cores in the NFL. And that's one of the things when you look at the Redskins roster and you think, man, they were really bad against the run, but they got a lot of good guys, including Zach Brown, who they signed in the offseason. Mason Foster led them in tackles, but Mason Foster as their main linebacker, not too hot of a thing. Sua Cravens they drafted last year. I really like him, but, he was banged up a lot last year, so We'll see not only if he plays, but where he plays, what position he'll play. Because with Mason Foster and Zach Brown, it's kind of a question mark of exactly what position Sua Craven will play and how much playing time he will get. He might even move to safety. He's a pretty, undersized linebacker. They might move him to like a strong safety spot or something like that. I don't know. I don't know exactly what they're going to do with that team because they only have one really good safety, or not really good, but like one good safety under roster right now, and that's DJ Swearinger. And even DJ Swearinger, he was decent last year, but, I don't know if Swearinger is the long-term answer at the safety spot. We'll see, though. But, the Redskins, otherwise, like I said, they have one of the best linebacking cores in the NFL. Trent Murphy, young guy, he's good. Ryan Kerrigan's been good for a long time. They drafted Preston Smith, he's okay. And it goes on and on. You read through the thing. But, unfortunately, in the trenches, they really don't have any big-time defensive tackles to stop the run, so unfortunately, we'll say that's going to be a problem again this season. And we went over to Eagles, and I mentioned the Eagles have a really tough schedule with the divisions they play. The Redskins are in the same division, so they play against those same opposing divisions. They play against the NFC West and the AFC West. That is not a schedule you want to look forward to next season. And because of that, the Redskins' record, I think, will really depend on, as any team's record does, which, you can never account for what happens in division games because playing teams twice a year, you get the scouting report on them, you get familiar with them more than other opponents, and then division games in general are just wild games. So I think, especially in the NFC East, whoever has the best division record, it could dictate, who makes playoffs, who could get a wild card or something like that. The Redskins can take care of business with Dallas, with the Giants, with Philadelphia. They could, make a playoff push and, fight for maybe a wild card spot, even winning the division. I think that's a little bit much for them, but they could battle for that. But I don't think the Redskins have it in them this year. I don't know. I'm just not too big of a fan of their roster. I like the young talent that they had. They drafted really well the last couple of years. They need Josh Doctson to come through, but last year, or 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I don't know what it was, 2015, whatever that actually counts as. That's technically 2 years ago, but 3 drafts ago. I always kind of mess that up when I do these things, but 2015 draft, they got Sheriff, they got Preston Smith, they got Jamison Crowder, Jones, he was pretty good. Matt Jones, whenever he played, he was okay. 2014 draft, they got Trent Murphy. They didn't even have a first-round pick because of the whole RG3 trade. Murphy, Morgan Moses. But when you look back at the 2013 draft, this is the one that hurts. They drafted David Amerson, and then they had David Amerson still. Him and Josh Norman are a really good cornerback duo, but they just cut David Amerson because he wasn't playing well. They gave up on him, and look at him now. He's really good on the Raiders, so that was a huge mistake that really hurt this franchise. If they could add David Amerson, would he have done as well in Washington as he's doing in Oakland? Maybe he doesn't have the extra motivation. I don't know, but having him at the level he's playing at right now would definitely help this team. So I would say the Redskins go somewhere between 6-10 and 8-8, more so the 6-10 area. Redskins fans, you definitely would think I'm wrong. I'm sure you guys think you're going to make the playoffs. So let me know why I'm wrong. And maybe someone actually agrees. Let me know why. The Redskins, like I said, have good talent. I think it's something that they could look at next year as long as they're able to, maintain keeping Kirk Cousins. But otherwise, that's what I think. So leave a like if you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe for more, and I'll catch you guys next time.